Picasso is a very important figure in the 20th century. He is a Spanish-born artist that became very well known by his modern art. He was born and raised in Spain, but he soon moved to France where he spent his life working as an artist. He created everything from drawings to paintings to sculptures and ceramics, and he even created costumes. Picasso founded the entire Cubist movement, which even inspired Futurism, Dada, and Constructivism in other countries. Picasso once said, "Different themes inevitably require different methods of expression. This does not imply either evolution or progress. It is a matter of following the idea one wants to express in the way in which one wants to express it." Picasso's early work was very photorealistic and not abstract whatsoever. This painting is from Picasso's early years, and he was only 15 years old when he painted it in 1897. It is an oil-on-canvas painting called Science and Charity. His father's advice for him was to paint a large canvas in an academic manner, and while doing so, Picasso discovered Expressionism. Depicted in the painting, the audience sees a man taking the pulse of the sick mother, and a nun offering her tea while holding a child. Many say that this painting's title clearly goes along with what is depicted.
Picasso had many different art eras, which were Blue, Rose, African, Cubism, Classicism, and Surrealism. In the Blue period, he would paint in blue and/or blue-green. His artworks from this period were inspired by sad moments of poverty, prisoners, the old, blind, homelessness, and instability in Spain. As we know, the color blue represents sadness and the way people feel. For this period, it represented Picasso's depression, but it didn't just end after the Blue period. In the Rose period, he started incorporating pinkish orange tones, which gave off more of a romantic feel. He painted people as circus performers and clowns, also with a mixture of blue tones. People say that he changed his art style because he met someone during the time named Ferdinand Olivier and became a little bit happier. It seemed he got the people in his paintings mysterious because most were unrecognizable, but they were in fact still people. This led his later works of abstraction. By his African influence period, he was influenced and inspired by Iberian sculptors and Africans. But he was really in denial of his inspiration of African art and leaned towards Iberian art. What started this style of paintings was a man named Henri Matisse, who showed Picasso a mask from the Dan region of Africa. This era introduced Cubism into his works, which we'll later see in his next period. Now by his Cubism period, he didn't use many vibrant colors. This movement focuses more on geometric shapes, such as cylinders, cubes, spheres, and cones. His works were inspired by a man named George Braque, who was also into analytic cubism. He focused more on natural objects, whereas Picasso wanted to lean more towards abstraction, but he was still inspired by Braque's use of shapes. Lastly, we have his Classicism and Surrealism period, where the impact of World War I took place. He started to draw more people in a neoclassical style way. A part of his Cubism and Surrealism era was Guernica. It was a painting created in the 1937 and was finished in less than a month. Picasso's painting depicts immediate reaction to the Nazis' devastating casual bombing practice on the Basque town of Guernica during the Spanish Civil War. It was to remember the destruction of war and an embodiment of peace. The muted colors in the painting helps capture the tragedy and the drama at the time of the war, and also the texture in the painting creates a newspaper-like print. Since Guernica got well known, there were many interpretations behind the characters in it, such as the bull and the horse, which were important characters in the Spanish culture. If you look closely at the painting, you see every character is in agony with their mouths open and eyes wandering off elsewhere.
Picasso was the first to produce constructive sculptures with non-Western influence on them, using Oceania and Africa as influences. Picasso went on to make a guitar sculpture out of cardboard between 1912 and 1913, then later returned to it to make it in metal in 1920, and during this time frame, a majority of his sculptures were in a Cubist style. When he came back to sculpture in the 1920s, his main medium was using wire. He started using this as a medium after he had made his guitar sculpture because he felt inspired by the guitar strings. Over the course of his career, he devoted himself to sculpture and using different mediums in them, such as sheet metal, wood, stone, and also unconventional materials. He would use different mediums as testing grounds for ideas that would help shape future art.